So when we started this project, we laughed because I said I have a vintage Yaffe frame. Paul got on the group text and said, "Don't call me vintage. That makes me feel bad, dude. You're hurting my feelings. I'm not that old." So Chris Callan corrected me. Vintage is over 25 years old. This frame is only within the 25-year range, so it's classic. So it's a classic Yaffe frame. Normally you'll see a Yaffe frame and has these 3 steps right here. We took that out right here, and Rob Roll, Donnie Smith's metal guy, who raked my first ever FXR, and I collaborated to make this tube like this, right? This was a little wider here. We brought this all in because when my wife Vanessa sits on it, it hits her legs. And I'm like, I want you to be able to ride this thing, baby. So we even moved the controls up an inch and back an inch and a half just to try to tighten up the whole package, right? It looks like a panhead. These are exotic panhead rocker boxes. The guy that developed these is from Hartford, South Dakota. Just another South Dakota touch, right? It's a twin cam. It's been fully polished by Steve at Elite Polishing in Lincoln, Nebraska. Diamond Heads did the cut on the cylinders. Morris Magneto, because that's just chopper essential everything, right? I've always been a PM guy. So I brought out these old PM controls I had stashed away. We have a hydraulic clutch, a regular brake front, a 13-inch rotor with a single piston little tiny PM caliper, Paco front end with a shock. We tucked this Nest headlight down on here and cupped it around here so the shock's not like the most prominent thing because everybody wants to see just a traditional 2-spring Springer, right? The bars are from Biltwell. They were a little taller. I found them at their parts and labor little swap meet thing, and I'm like, this is kind of me. I think they're right. They're dirt bike-ish. We cut 2 inches out of here, widened the middle 1 inch so it fits a Springer. West Coast Choppers tank. That looks familiar to everybody, right? What this does here is we've got a dash in here to kind of break it up and not make it look flat on the top like every other West Coast Choppers tank. Paul Cox makes a rigid air seat pan. Probably haven't seen too many of these, right? That's the air pump. Here's how you let it out. There's 2 little airbags on there, so now I got some give in this rigid, okay? I get the seat pan from Paul Cox, and I called Dwayne Ballard because Paul's always so busy. I couldn't even believe he sold me this seat pan. I was so excited to find it, right? Called Dwayne Ballard. I said, Dwayne, you have carte blanche. This thing's gonna be purple. My first FXR was this color purple. The 2008 SNS 50th bike I built was this color purple. And because this is my personal bike, it's gonna be that color purple again. You can't buy lapis blue base anymore with House of Colors candy over it. So what happens is, I called John Kosmowski just like I did back in 2008. I said, John, I need your help. He said, come on up, kid. John's 83 years old. Just a bad dude, right? And I go up there and he's got this shop with all these hot rods and cool motorcycles and wicked posters from all the things he's done. And he's up in there mixing my paint, right? My buddies are like, man, I have a hard time even buying House of Colors paint. And you drive to John Kosmowski, the guy who invented it, and get the paint? Yeah, but that's 26 years of relationships, right? So the color is almost black, but you can clearly see in this Arizona sun, there's some purple. I wanted the traditional one up, one down, pipe look because there's something quintessential about that level that just makes a chopper look like a chopper. But I wanted this ripple pipe. When I called Donnie and Rob, they said, oh, Brian, that stuff's terrible. Well, Paul from Bare Knuckle Performance makes stuff that's not terrible. He's all about the best materials, the best stainless, the best everything. So he and his son cranked these out for me on their lathe and rippled the pipe. And you can see here, J&D Plating did a great job of plating it. It looks awesome, right? 15 years later, I lost the axle caps. You got a guy like Paul Yaffe in your corner. Paul made me some axle caps and shipped them to me. I got them 2 days ago before coming down here. It's perfect, right? It's just how it should be. But as we're putting them in, there's a little too much paint in this hole, and so like everybody, we broke a tap off in there, okay? So I ended up having to cut through the edge of the frame, get that bolt out of there. There's just enough meat that bolt still cuts into there. It works. Nobody's without problems, right? Just like we've talked about this whole time. Black bike wheel, it's a 6-inch wheel with a 200 tire on it, and it's offset. See how much rim is on this side? Everything's smooth over here because the other side has an Exile Sproder. Exile Cycles, Russell Mitchell, also a big name back in the chopper heyday and the biker build-off days, and I've had that part forever because my friend Russell got it for me, right? PM pulled out all the stops. I asked him for a fat tail kit. That's this belt drive that they've made forever and it no longer exists. They dug through all their stuff, every part's bin, found enough stuff in 2 weeks to put together a fat tail kit for me. So I have all my little trick pieces, and one of my guys, Noah, walked out the other day, oh, and this little Heartland plate that you can see on this side flips in and out, right? Lonnie goes, I don't even make those anymore, Lonnie Spiva. I said, Lonnie, I have to have it. He goes, it's got some dings in it, Brian. I said, send it anyway, please. I have to have it. A couple days later, the little plastic bushings that it rides on for the detent even showed up. He's like, I just had to do it. You were so passionate. You were so excited about it. And really, that's truly where it's at for me, is motorcycles bring passion. Great friendships bring passion. People that connect bring passion, right? This bike represents all of that to me. Final piece, this Mikuni carburetor's on there. I go to Greg Wick's house. He's one of my hamster friends and is on the board now. And he bought that thing right when he got into the hamsters. They were hard to get. It's a Goodson air cleaner. Denver Arlen from Two Wheelers in Colorado had them engraved. Greg was always gonna hang it on his wall. I went to his house, it was New Year's Day. He said, you're building that chopper for that Friends Throwdown thing. I want you to have this part. So this all means a lot to me. And so when you sit on the bike, I mean, it's just right there, right? Everything about it's just super comfy. You really can't go wrong, you know? So without getting too emotional, this bike means a lot to me. The purple colors, the people, the things, being right here in the sun right now, I'd swear you guys aren't even there. It's quiet, it's awesome, and I'm forever grateful to call the motorcycle industry my home.